Hello, welcome to episode 17 of the Expat Podcast. Today, I talked to Ned Mortensen from Illinois, one of the most talented Renaissance men I've had the pleasure to meet in Taipei. I met Ned through a musicians group online. His guitar improvisation skills are incredible. And I met him in real life a few months ago at a Running in the Woods club called Hash, where he's somewhat known for being both the most jacked and also the fastest guy to hurtle himself headlong through bamboo forests. If he sounds like an anime character, well, I'm starting to think maybe he is. As you'll hear later in the podcast, he's really an artistic jack of all trades, but also a really kind, nice, humble guy. It's really nice to sit down and talk to. So, here is Ned.
I feel like you're being a bit dramatic on that one. I wouldn't suppose it's brain damage, but
maybe.
Yeah. Well, you know, they say people who have unique, wonderful brains have probably had some kind of traumatic thing happen to them at some point. That,
Definitely.
Like a good knock on the head. So wait, does it like physically feel like physical movement in your head?
It feels like, you can imagine like if you have like a muscle, let's say you have like a muscle like twitching or something.
Oh, yeah,
sometimes
like
that'll happen, right? And it's like, it's not like a big deal, and it's like subtle, you know, and it's, but it's also like unconscious, right? And like, it's just that kind of feeling.
Right.
It's also, energetic, obviously, because there's plenty of sensation you get in your head just from like thoughts, because that's where your brain is, but it's just a weird thing. Anyway.
Yeah.
I've been napping. All right, let's get started. I've got like so many questions for you.
Oh shit.
Unless you want to keep talking about naps.
No.
All right, so your name is Ned.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
Is that actually your name?
Yeah, it's my full first name. I know.
When you introduce yourself as Ned, what do people usually? Do people ever have any jokes, things they go to? Did Game of Thrones change your introduction process?
Yeah. Everyone's like, "Oh, that's not a very fortunate name because you know Game of Thrones." I'm like, "Yeah, I know of it." And then I don't know. And then they want to tell me a story about it.
Yeah. So you haven't watched Game of Thrones?
No. I think a long time ago.
I think it's very much like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings, where if you're going through that period, like if you're watching them as they come out, it's the best show ever. But like I wouldn't. If someone's never watched Star Wars, I'm not going to recommend they go watch Star Wars. Like that's you're there or you're not. You know.
Yeah. Retroactively, like you got to go back and do this thing that everyone was excited about.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah. Not anymore. They were.
Prior to Game of Thrones, it was always Simpsons, and it still kind of is. It was like Flanders, like Oakley Dokley. I'm like, yeah, just like fucking Flanders.
Oh, for real? Okay, cool.
But yeah, in short,
I was homeschooled. I never saw Simpsons.
Oh well,
sad,
you
right?
poor thing.
Yeah,
no. It's funny. When I was a kid, I grew up on it, and like I loved it, and in some ways I still do. But then in hindsight, I'm like, what degenerate garbage, you know? But
yeah. Once again, I think it's one of those things. Like American people will make fun of me, like how deprived I am for not getting Beavis and Butthead. I never watched.
So uncultured.
Classic like '90s cartoons. I never saw them.
I think it's seen the canon. Yeah.
All right, I have a quote for you.
Sure.
Okay, quote. Get ready. I'm the Whistler. What does this quote mean to you?
I have a pipe, and I've come to play. It's fucking...
what is this?
Dude, this is really fucking synchronistic, coincidental. God, it was yesterday. I was talking to a coworker, and he was whistling, and he came in the office and was like, oh, I fucking hate whistling. He's like, do you? And then we started talking about whistling. I'm like, do you know that Jethro Tull song, The Whistler? And I played it for him.
This is Jethro Tull?
It's a Jethro Tull song.
Oh, for real? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Get ready, I'm the Whistler, I have a pipe and I come to play.
Let me make sure this camera's on.
Oh, sure,
I've had mishaps happen more than once. All right, we all good?
Cool, bitchin'. What's up, peoples?
Yeah.
No, as far as like significance, I couldn't complete it and have it mean anything more than that, but as far as like a weird coincidence or something like
the universe coming together.
It's very
Let's
significant.
See if we can find more pieces to this puzzle.
Oh, that's fucking weird.
You're from a place not too far from Chicago, right?
Yeah, a smallest town called Marengo, probably.
What's your relationship like with Chicago?
Just
do you identify with it, hate it?
I'm more associated with Chicago being over here than back home. Like Chicago is like where rich people and maybe nice things and also not so nice things happen. When I'm back home, that's that's kind of your way you think about it. And then over here, when I'm talking to people,
you're
especially
like,
Taiwanese people, it's like, yeah, I'm Chicago, yeah.
I even claim Chicago, and I'm from another state. I'm from 2 states over, from Michigan.
Whereabouts
But I'm like
in Michigan?
close enough. Grand Rapids, so
Okay,
it's it's equidistant between Chicago and Detroit.
Right.
And people know about Chicago. So
Yes.
I'll say
Okay.
Chicago.
Okay. Yeah.
I used to be like I'm near Chicago, and they'd be like, "Oh, you're from Chicago? Okay, yeah, fine. Yep, I'm from downtown Chicago.
Yeah.
You got me."
That's just good enough. That's enough of a picture in their mind. But
So you don't particularly love it, hate it's just the big city, you're just near it. That's all.
yeah, just about. Never more than a day trip in and then get back out because it was like an hour drive.
When you were a kid, did you go there sometime?
Yeah, funny thing is, ever since I was a kid, I've like been way into Asian and Chinese culture, and my mom started taking us to Chinatown because like, Mom, you gotta take us to Chinatown. So starting when I was like in 6th grade, we would go like once a month, and occasionally, like even living here, every once in a while in my mind, I'm like, man, I want to go fucking Chinatown. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm in like...
I would love to have American Chinese food. That's stuff I always crave. Like, it's one of the first things when I go back to America. And people must think I'm such a nerd. Like, you live in China. Like, what are you doing going back?
Yeah.
But, like, it's different and you can't find it here.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's, like, really delicious. So
it's like... I wouldn't want to be able to have it all the time, but it's like...
it's junk food. It's essentially
junk food. It's like
McDonald's,
candy, man.
But it's a special kind of candy you can't find here. So.
Dude, I'm right there with you, man. I think about that often. Yeah, fuck, man.
All right, good stuff. So we're going to dive right into Illinois trivia. I usually save this for halfway through, but we're going to dive right in.
I'm fucked, man.
I had the Chicago question right up front,
all right.
so it's okay. Most people don't do well on this.
All right.
So don't worry too much. You'll get half of the questions. What are the 2 largest lakes in Illinois?
Oh, well, I mean, obviously bordering up against Lake Michigan,
Yes,
but I don't
true.
think...
That's number 1.
Okay.
No, we're taking that because I mean that's a giveaway. I knew
okay.
I knew you knew that, so I'm
Yeah.
asking for the biggest one that's totally inside of Illinois. This is far away from your hometown.
Okay,
so.
the second one has got to be Lake Akawikitobi.
Nope,
which in
Akawikitomi.
Oh.
You pronounced it, you got a letter wrong, sorry.
Oh, it's
Question number 2. It's called Lake Carlisle. It's a wholly man-made lake. So have you ever heard of
Really?
it? Yeah.
Man-made. So was it
totally dug up, but it's in like southern Illinois.
was it a rock quarry at one point?
I have no idea.
Because a lot of sometimes they'll do that with old rock quarries. They'll fill them back.
There was one in Grand Rapids that's exactly like that. People like go swimming in it, but yeah. No other information other than that. Illinois is the largest producer in the U.S. of which crop?
It gotta be corn.
Corn number 2.
Soy.
No, it's more cool than that. It's a Halloween themed.
Wait, pumpkins? Really?
Pumpkins, yeah. Illinois is the largest producer of pumpkins
I was like, everybody
in the
said
U.S.
Halloween theme. I was like, we grow candy corn? What the fuck? I didn't even know.
But corn number 2 for to be fair, 80% of the land in Illinois is cropland. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's an easy mistake. Illinois' highest point, Charles Mount, sits at what kind of location? I'm going to give you a multiple choice for this.
Okay, sure.
All right, so multiple choice, what kind of location? Is it a Walmart? This is the highest point in Illinois. Is it a Walmart? Is it someone's driveway? Is it a state park? Or is it a famous meteor crater? Walmart, driveway, state park, crater.
I feel like it's got to be someone's driveway.
Someone's driveway? You got it.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. Very
Nice.
nice.
That someone is me.
It's kind of cool. It's a little place. I mean, it's like private property, but they let people come in every once in a while. People have.
Oh, really?
It has nice reviews on Google Maps. Yeah, they say yes. You can see the land around it. It's not really nice views. It's,
Right.
Illinois is apparently an extremely flat place. So even this highest
true, yeah.
point, Charles Mount, is like a little bit over 1,000 feet above sea level. It's pretty. All right.
Yeah, not much to brag. But.
We're off to Chicago. Which famous dinosaur lives at the Field Museum in Chicago?
Sue, the massive T-Rex bitch. Yeah.
You got it. Very nice.
Yeah.
Nailed that. Famous for being a large, complete, and well-preserved T-Rex fossil.
Correct.
Metropolis, Illinois, has a museum and a 15-foot tall statue of who?
It's not me.
No, that's the second museum.
Okay, yeah.
Soon enough.
Oh shit! It's just like
Superman.
Really?
Superman. They got a Superman museum, Metropolis, Illinois.
Oh, that makes.
Yeah,
that
you
makes
are
sense,
from
yeah.
Marengo, Illinois,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
Marengo, Illinois. What was the original name of Marengo?
Oh fuck!
You know it had a different name before? I got this from the Wikipedia page, from the Marengo, Illinois Wikipedia.
Settlers Town. I don't know. No.
Pleasant Grove, named after. I was hoping you'd get this one. I thought we were going to start hard and go to.
Oh no!
Pleasant Grove, Marengo.
I think there's also another area called Pleasant Grove, Illinois.
They probably couldn't have 2.
Yeah. They duked it out and we lost. We had to take stupid Marengo. Sure.
We lost the Pleasant Grove battle.
Yeah.
Which event occurred in Marengo in the early morning of June 11th, 2017. This is one of the very few. This is also from the Wikipedia page of Marengo, Illinois. Important enough to.
There was probably two things in recent memory. There's probably some kind of nasty murder, but I'm thinking that was longer ago. I think the one I'm thinking of is a gas explosion where someone's house blew up and lit on fire.
You got it. Yeah, a house blew up.
Yeah. And I mean, I think I'd already moved back to Taiwan at that time, so I heard about it from my mom or on Facebook or something.
I was hoping we could get like the first-hand account of you watching your
house
eviscerated.
I was standing next to the house with a flamethrower, and
I don't know how it happened.
I certainly was just watching. Yeah,
all right, so I have one other question relating to Taiwan, but first I want to know, would you like to use this platform, the Expat Podcast, to announce that you're running for mayor of Marengo? They're also currently hiring a police chief, if you're interested.
I'm running for both, and whichever one I don't get, then the other one's going to be my plan B and a cop-out. So
vote Ned.
Yeah.
Last question. How much bigger, this is really a guess thing, right? How much bigger do you think Illinois is than Taiwan?
Oh, dude, I actually...
Take a guess. This would be the craziest one for you to get even close.
No, here's the thing. I have looked at this before because... Can I kind of ramble for a second? In the past, I was like, Illinois is like long and vertical in Taiwan. And then in my mind's eye, I was like, top of the line, okay. And then I looked it up and it was like, Taiwan is like 15,000 some odd square miles and Illinois is 50,000 some odd square square miles. So, Illinois by multitudes bigger, but before in my mind's eye, I just superimposed them over each other. I was like, yep, same thing.
Right. I think when you live in a place, and especially if you're just walking around or you're in a local area, you have no concept of the scale of the place.
You're not fucking in outer space looking down.
Exactly. Which is the only way you'd get perspective, or if you were like a trucker, maybe, and so you're really going around everywhere all the time.
But day to day, it's like they say Taiwan's a small place, but like I can't feel that. I don't have any sense of that just sitting here.
It's way bigger than me.
Right, as many things are,
like everywhere else. Mm-hmm. All right, on to actual questions. What was it like growing up in Marengo?
Really mixed. I think there's only a few times where I thought like, oh, this is countryside, it's really boring. But for the most part, I loved having room to play. I was always outside running around. Not bad, like a little bit dull. Like, sometimes you'd have the nagging suspicion that like, oh, the kids a few towns over where the population is bigger, they're really having fun, I'm missing out. But for the most part, it's pretty good. And I think in hindsight, I really appreciate it more and more especially like being in Taiwan where everything is so clusterfuck and jumbled and it's like kids really don't have room to play out here. So I'm going to say on the whole, really positive experience. Maybe at some times I thought I was missing out on something, but in hindsight, not at all.
Right. And I mean, of course, you miss out on experiences all the time, depending on where you were, because you're only one person and one body, and the people in the big towns are missing out on the small town stuff. It's
Yeah.
But you also went to high school in Marengo, yes?
That's correct. Yeah.
So, is that where you started getting some ideas about like there's bigger things out there? I need to go. Or was it just a natural progression into college?
No, I think. As far as like thinking about getting out overseas eventually, I didn't really have any notion that I'd be doing that in high school. I think it was kind of as I mentioned earlier, like it was all things Asian for a while, and then that included martial arts. And I was like always doing like Taekwondo as a kid. Then in university, I started doing Chinese martial arts. Then I had a language requirement alongside with my major, and that was. I decided to do Chinese at the time. I'm like, oh, I like this Chinese Kung Fu. Maybe I should learn Chinese. Started learning Chinese, and I was like, China, it's so cool. And then, like, after I graduated, I had an art degree. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing?
Tell me about your art degree. How did that happen?
Well,
if I was to guess what your degree was in university, that would be like number 15 or something on my list. Like I ran out of everything else.
Like
art, I guess.
Kinesiology or nutrition or something.
Yeah. Or even politics, philosophy, language studies. I could all see that. Art.
Yeah.
Did you ever take like a pottery class?
Yeah, dude.
I just can't imagine you like forming like a.
Dude, this is pretty funny actually. My ceramics professor in university for at least no, all the ceramics classes I took, he was Taiwanese, and actually he kind of planted a seed, like, because I had been talking to him, like, oh, I kind of want to go overseas, like maybe Taiwan or China, and it seemed China was going to be easier at the time. He's like, you just need to go at first, doesn't matter, just like get out, and then. But then I always thought about him like, Taiwan, and I had always heard good things. So, but anyways, this big goofy thing here. I used to make teapots actually, like, and he showed me how to make some traditional teapots. A traditional teapot is actually like the hardest one because like it's pretty round and simple, and like to make something that's like perfectly not spherical but perfectly round and symmetrical, that's tough. But something that's a little more decorated and like. I don't know, like
you can hide the imperfections, right?
Oh yeah,
in the decorations.
Much more easily.
Yeah, things that are very simple, they have to be perfect.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's something that's a much simpler form. Yeah, the flaws will really pop out.
That was like your thing for a while, making teapots?
I would say for one semester,
That's
like
enough.
that was something I explored.
That's way more than most people have been making teapots.
That's
impressive.
Yeah, but originally I was supposed to be going into graphic design, and I had fun playing with Photoshop. I'm like, fuck, I don't want to sit in front of a computer. So I changed that to a general art BA, and that was just like, you don't have to get really good at anything. You can just remain shitty at everything. It's like, that sounds like me.
Cool move.
Yeah. But like, fortunately, like I got to try a lot of fun stuff, screen printing, ceramics, watercolor painting, and then that had the language requirement, which kind of made me explore Chinese and put me where I am today, for better or for worse.
So tell me about that. How did you make your way to China from northern Illinois?
Yeah. Let's see. Well, yeah, pretty much. Like I said once. Or I'll go back in the Chinese program. I'd studied Chinese for about 2 years. I actually have a minor in it, but like
your Chinese is really good.
When I hear you speak, your tones are better. Like, you know, when you hear.
Oh, they're just more mainlandy. I think they're worse actually.
Well, no,
I have more of a drawl.
Yeah, even I don't know. Whatever they are, it sounds like
but
Chinese
I'm saying, like,
to me.
if we were like taken hostage and one of us had to do the negotiation, it'd be you. Like, your Chinese is
but
great.
They might be like, oh, comrade, you have that thick drenchar. You know, like.
We want to talk to that guy.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Maybe we would have to devise some kind of good foreigner, bad foreigner routine to work. I don't know, man. I studied for a little bit, and then after college, like I said, I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? I'm like, well, maybe I could move to China and study Kung Fu and keep learning Chinese. And the Kung Fu scene wasn't so hot there. I
just
kind of already known that.
Just 1 second.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Is going to be so... It's probably going to be totally fine.
Oh, you're getting a little bit of glare there, huh?
I'm worried about our 10 audience members.
You guys still with us? Good.
All right, sorry, continue.
I won't go into like Kung Fu and.
I want to ask you a lot about that later, so don't worry. I made a note. I definitely made a note about this.
And I gotta say, this is pretty cool. You're more prepared than I assumed. I thought we were just gonna kind of like bullshit, but
we could do that too. There's a little bit of bullshit, but I feel like I feel like I would love to do just total bullshit interviews if I was good at it, you know?
Right.
But I want to keep the structure until I can do that naturally and it's interesting, and I'm not going to have some like weird awkward spaces. Like, better be prepared until I have that skill, you know?
Fair enough. Otherwise, like, so did you take a shower this morning?
Yeah, exactly. Tell me about your breakfast.
Yeah.
Do you like Chinese food or?
Yeah, it could be pretty bland otherwise. But no, I appreciate
really
that.
Cool.
It's cool.
You just don't know.
You don't know. It could be a bit of a shit show.
I should say I should base it a little bit more on the guests, because some people are you're really great at banter, so we could sit down and do a 5-hour live stream, and it would be 5 hours might be pushing it, but
I have faith.
Like, we'd be really good at it. But some people, maybe they like, I'll ask them a question and it'll be like very simple answers, maybe very quiet, like they don't have a whole lot to say. Right. So in those cases, it's better to have some structure, so I know they're not giving me anything to work with, so I have some areas to go. So you're right, this was probably not needed today, but
but no, it's cool. I'm enjoying it.
Okay, cool.
I kind of enjoy like the tempo and the energy that it kind of.
It's a little bit much also for a lot of people. Yeah. Some people have been like, you need to like take a deep breath, like let them talk a little bit.
Yeah, I do feel slightly like I'm going to puke, but that's probably my own issue. But
push it to our interview.
Yeah. Oh fuck! I don't know. On to the next thing. I don't even remember where we were.
All right, let's move on then. So how did you? So I'm just wondering, like, how did you?
Sure.
Yeah, you had a Chinese minor. You got to be in China somewhere, and now you're in Taiwan. Tell me about that arc. Give me that story.
Okay.
Northern Illinois to China to Taiwan.
Sure. Okay. I'll kind of backpedal a little bit to that ceramics professor. So, like, knowing how cool he was and hearing him talk about Taiwan, I'd already had some seeds planted. In my Kung Fu group, there were a couple people that had already visited Taiwan, and they're like, oh, it's a little bit cooler and more laid back than mainland. Like, anything you could say about the comparison, they had all said it. So I had that seed in my mind, but getting a job in China was just a lot easier. Someone had recommended this kind of like headhunter agency that like you go, because at the time I didn't have any like teaching certifications or whatever. And so you go, they give you a 2-week orientation in kind of like a fun touristy area, Yangshuo. I'm sure, I don't even remember the tones for that, but the area I think we had talked about.
Yeah.
And it's kind of touristy and you're hanging out with a bunch of other foreigners, so it's like a good soft intro. And they give you a crash course, like, this is how you teach kids. Now fuck off and go somewhere else in China.
Yeah, I got the same thing.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Mine was really good. I had it was like a really, really good crash course. But.
Yeah, actually, I'm not going to say mine was thorough, but like the experience was really pleasant. And that first year in China, although I really wouldn't want to go back, it was really magical. Like just the first year being away from home and being like, wow, I'm doing it on my own, like I'm getting my wings. It was really wonderful. I'll try and keep it brief, I guess. During Chinese New Year of that year, that would have been January, February 2013. I had a chance to visit Taiwan. I was like, oh, everyone had been talking about Taiwan. I got to check this out. So I went during Chinese New Year, and I fucking loved it. And I was like, all right, someday I'm going to move back. So finished up my contract in China and moved back home for 1 year. And then that whole year, I don't know, I was at home smoking a lot of weed and just working at a coffee shop, and then it closed down, and then I wasn't working at a coffee shop and just smoking weed, and it was really desolate and fucking cold, and I was like, I got to get out of here. And my mom splashed on a ticket and got me out to Taiwan, and I've been been back and forth between here and mainland since, but.
What kind of places in mainland have you been? Just back to the place you were at originally?
Sure. Oh, yeah. Okay. I guess I kind of that's a crucial detail.
I'm curious. Why the back and forth? Because I've only been back since being in Taiwan for like 3.5 years. I've only been back twice.
To visit or to?
Yeah, both times were essentially to visit.
Okay.
One of them I taught some classes while I was there, but it was
cool.
Also a lot of tourism.
Yeah. My first year, I had moved to Hunan province. I guess the biggest city close to where I was Changde, and it was a really small place called Lixian. Small city, but I think 2 million people or so.
Yep.
And then
Chicago size, tiny.
Yeah, Chicago tiny. And then after having lived in Taiwan for 2 years, I had moved back. The idea was to do more study. This is kind of like a whole other can of worms. More study with my tea teacher. He was doing more business there at the time.
Oh my gosh.
And he was like, I want to open up a tea shop.
Notes.
Maybe you can continue studying tea and help me out in the tea shop. And that didn't pan out, partially because I got tired of living in China. But then I moved to China, spent more time with him, and I was in Suzhou for that 1 year. Suzhou is pretty lovely.
So are all these places you're mentioning? My geography is not that great. Are they in similar places
or
different parts of the country?
Hunan province you could think of as being like south central China.
Okay.
And then Suzhou is Jiangsu province, and it's just you could get there. It's 20 minutes west of Shanghai on the high-speed rail.
Okay, near Shanghai. Cool.
Yeah, pretty close.
One of the Shanghai kind of suburbs.
Yeah, and I gotta say, as much as I thought I hated big Chinese cities, Shanghai has some charm.
Shanghai's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's some cool stuff going on.
I would say,
there.
I mean, even the culture is very, very different. Obviously, it has a very unique culture, right?
Yeah.
So when people say they're from Shanghai, you like to kind of categorize people, and I'm sure the more that you know about a place, the easier it is to categorize them and to kind of subdivide them, right? Not from Taiwan, but from whatever city in Taiwan.
Right.
But I never, whatever my bad associations are towards mainland Chinese people, I don't have towards Shanghainese people. I'm like, you're not from China, you're from Shanghai. That's because it's very international and very open-minded.
You're above that a little bit.
I don't know what to say.
I feel I get it.
I mean, they're cultured and rich. Is that all it is? I don't know. I think it's a lot of just international influence, right?
Have so much money.
That's maybe a big, but there's really low-class, very rich places.
Yeah. Oh, that's
right?
true.
Where it's a lot of new money in the last 30, 40 years. There's not a lot. They don't travel abroad. They're not into that stuff. They're just into being rich.
Yeah. When you say it that way, a comparison of different types of rich people, then Shanghai people they might go out and have a burger, some barbecue on the weekend, and they maybe go to some fine coffee shops, and they're maybe slightly less robotic, and they're kind of cool.
They seem like cool people. Yeah.
This one's for you, Shanghai.
Not just the rest of China, beautiful place. But all right, what do you miss about? Let's see. Which of these questions should I actually ask? I really want to get into all of your cool hobbies. What do you miss about the U.S. living in Taiwan, and what do you prefer about life here? What's better for you about both places?
All right. I don't drive a scooter or a car here, so I kind of miss, even though Illinois is so flat, I miss getting in a car and just cruising down. Yeah. I always thought the train was so boring in Illinois, and then the last time I was back home in 2019, I was driving home. I went to visit my Kung Fu friends, and I was driving back to my mom's place, which is 45 minutes away. Everything's flat. The sky is fucking huge, and a storm was coming in, and half the sky over here was just fucking super dark, and it was sunshine over here, and I don't know, the sky felt so huge, and it was just epic. I was cruising down this road, and I was like, God damn. So just the space and the
There's a lot of space.
Yeah. The space to do what you want. Other than that, I can't really. Breakfast foods. I like going to fucking mom and pop diners, or even if it's not a mom and pop place, just fucking eggs and bacon in massive quantities for breakfast on occasion, and a lot of coffee. Yeah. And there's places that might try to do that here in Taipei. I think maybe the diner or something, but it's
it's a different thing. It's a different kind of experience.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, cool. That's some nice little things. Have you lived in other countries? China?
No. Only mainland China, Taiwan, and
would you
the States.
Want to live in other countries, and what would be on your short list if you're going to go somewhere else?
Within recency, around this time last year, I visited Japan. I thought it was really rad, but I don't know. When you visit somewhere and you get you kind of look at it
Visiting and living is not
the
the same.
Living would probably not be the same from what I hear. So I wanted to say Japan, probably not.
Yeah, a lot of American people have issues with Japanese culture.
Right. I mean,
a very large and impermeable wall to get through, culture-wise.
Yeah, I reckon so. I liked how orderly and clean shit was.
It's scary. How can it be that perfect?
Yeah.
It's very, very strange. It seems like a movie or something, like a movie set where why all of these pebbles are all arranged. And I know this is an accident, but I think it's just how my brain goes. I've only been there a couple times, but even looking at a forest, I feel like the forest is nicely arranged. It's an orderly Japanese forest. It's not a scraggly American forest where anything goes.
Well, not to detract from the kind of coincidental Japanese nature of everything there and seeming it's in its right place, because it certainly has that. But from what I understand, much of the indigenous trees of Japan that would have been there a long time ago have since been monocultured with just 2 or 3 ones the Hinoki cypress, and so they
there is forestry management. Countries do manage their forests.
Yeah.
I don't have any idea what that entails and how much that is, right?
Right.
So I do know there's few places you'll go forests and they'll say they're virgin forests, and that essentially means unmanaged throughout history, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean just about any forest you go to anywhere, it's been logged at some point,
right?
And that means it's not the original state of the forest. And
that's true.
It's very, very, very rare to find a forest not like that. Enough so that they have to give it this designation,
right?
And it's usually for a reason, it's really inaccessible in the mountains. They couldn't get their trucks to it, to go log it or something like that. I don't know what it would have been like.
Yeah.
If not for the management.
And that's not to say that the ones you had seen maybe were reforested in some way. I really don't know, but from what I understand, a lot of stuff is reforested there. But
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, Japan is super cool. All right, let's get into your hobbies, and I think really any one of these things could be. Not a podcast episode, could be a whole podcast. It could be Ned and whatever, right? The Ned show featuring whatever his hobby is.
Now I'm starting to sweat a little bit because I do a lot of weird stuff.
You do a lot of stuff, yeah.
But then, as soon as we start talking about it, it'll be apparent how little I actually know
it's fine.
about it.
We have a lot of things and only 25 minutes. So if it said 2-minute spiel about that, your quick take, that's enough.
Yeah, good enough.
That's totally enough.
That's all you need to know about next.
Yeah. Sure, just say it would be boring. You wouldn't understand. So I met you through Facebook because
right.
through a Taiwan musicians group where you were posting a bunch of videos of you playing guitar.
Right.
And I was like incredibly, I mean, everyone on the group is like really impressed by your guitar playing. I've never heard you play live, but I've seen a lot of your videos of you just noodling around with different things. And yeah, extremely impressive. Really, really cool to listen to.
Well, cheers.
What's your guitar thing? How did that start? Do you do other kinds of music?
Are
you going to start a band? Why don't you play on the street? I want to
Dude,
go
I
watch
don't
you
know,
play
man.
in a park sometime.
Okay, the origin story, I guess, with guitar is when I graduated 8th grade. I was old for my class. So I was probably about 14 years old, and my mom got me an electric guitar.
When's your birthday? Is it about that?
July 18th.
Did you get held back or just on your birthday?
I think my parents were like, "Ooh, he's borderline retarded. Probably not ready for kindergarten yet." I think maybe they tried to send me one time, and I came back. I was like,
because you'd either be with a July birthday, you'd either be like older.
Yeah, older or younger, and I guess for my special circumstances, they thought it was better to wait a little while and make me the older kid.
It's probably better to be an older kid.
Yeah,
I guess there's this trend, a statistical significant trend about birthdays and sports performance where like later birthdays they all do way better at sports because when you're a kid that little bit, you know, being 6-9 months older, it makes a difference in terms of your physiology. And even if it's not for every person, statistically you can see a big trend that like these birthdays do way better in sports.
Yeah, I've heard something about that too, or maybe even confidence levels, but I've always been waiting for that confidence to come and like what the fuck?
Is it?
Fuck. Music though, I don't know. I've played in bands in high school and college. It's a lot of fun. When you're older and people are working, it's just so hard to get people together. And I have a buddy who plays drums. I've been jamming with him recently, and we want to get maybe a rhythm guitar and a bass player. And that'd be really cool to have a band out here and just play some simple rock music, get out and have fun. But my weird thing is like I don't know, some of the videos, like you probably saw some weird kinky costumes, and one was like you
just never wear shirts.
Yeah. Most of the time I'm like half
costumes.
naked. Because like most of the time it's like I'm just hanging out at home in Taiwan where it's hot mostly. And
There's nothing wrong with it. Again, going without a shirt is fine. But I don't see any like rabbit costumes or whatever.
No,
you're talking
I
about.
had this Taiwanese black bear like hood and these gloves that I made. I was like, I want to make a band that's like a kind of like a rock opera with this like themed show that progresses, but like the main player is like, or the front man is like a Taiwanese black bear. That would be me, and
That's
like
dope.
Taiwanese people would like it because it's like, oh yes, Taiwan, our identity, and then like just have misadventures and like have it could be like really badass rockin' music that's kind of like prog and weird, but like I don't really sing. There wouldn't be much lyrics. There'd be no swearing. So like your kids could watch it. Maybe if kids were watching, I'd put on a shirt or something. You know.
You need like a hot Taiwan girl to sing for you.
Oof.
Because then you'd go from popular to like popular.
Yeah.
That would be the
Consider
move.
that, yeah.
Get bear costumes for everyone.
I could put balloons in my shirt and pass. I could pass, right?
You could make it happen.
Yeah. All right. Noted. Yeah.
Anything else about guitar? Or are we finished with this subject?
No, that's
Wait, so I want to talk about the gym.
Oh, sure,
so,
fuck.
So I actually met you in real life at Hash running/drinking group. You go run around the woods, and you never wear a shirt there, and everyone's super, super impressed because you're like ripped and huge.
Yeah.
Now, in my Facebook stalking for you for this interview, I saw a picture with your brother who's even huger than you.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy. Is your family just huge people?
Well, I don't know.
How much of your incredible physique is the gym, and how much of it is your parents' gift to you?
I don't know, because like neither of my parents are like really particularly huge, and then my brother just kind of has like this like kind of big bulky like. He's got a little bit of body fat on him now.
Does he lift?
He doesn't lift at all.
Well, I mean, he's just a big guy.
If he did lift, he'd
be jacked.
Dude, I keep telling him, like, dude, you gotta lift,
if you don't go to the
man.
gym, of course, you're not going to be a gym guy, of course.
Right, and a gym guy he's not. I think he's lifted before, but I keep telling him he should because, like, if you put on a little muscle, he would just look like
he's a big frame.
Yeah.
He's a big guy.
I don't have the same frame that he does, so it takes a little bit more work for me to look massive. But yeah. I mean, I think like I've got okay genes for being athletic and like putting on muscle mass.
How long have you been gymming?
God, probably.
And did you do sports like high school?
Well, it was always like martial arts, a little bit of cross country running, and then for the longest time. Not for the longest time. After I had moved to Taiwan, I put everything down for a while, and then I started doing calisthenics. Just body.
Calisthenics is a lot of like jumping.
Calisthenics, actually, I could include that.
What was that
Calisthenics
called?
is like strictly like body weight training.
I see.
Are you CrossFit? Are you thinking of more?
No,
now,
there's a plyometrics.
Plyometrics?
Is that what it's called?
Oh,
We're
plyometrics.
specifically about jumping. Like that's what the discipline is.
Yeah, I think someone could fact check me if I'm wrong on this, but I think plyometrics. The idea is that as you're coming down, like not only is it body weight, but you have the inertia that you have to overcome. So like doing a push-up, coming off the ground, and then your body's coming down. You're kind of resisting that weight coming down.
That makes sense. So it's like body weight plus.
Body weight plus,
but without equipment necessarily.
Yeah. So, and I think there's a lot of merit to calisthenics, and I was doing that for a couple years before I started doing the gym. And
specifically like skills, like handstands and like muscle ups.
For the longest
stuff.
time I wanted to do a muscle up, and it seemed beyond me, and like I don't even train them anymore, but like muscle ups are not that difficult for me to do anymore.
Wow, that's crazy. I have a friend I saw doing it. I'm like, that's crazy. Like I've tried, they look easy, and I tried to do it a couple times. It's not possible at all.
Dude, it's one of those things that
he said it's about the like leverage, like body movement. Like you have to know how to do it in your body, and that's what most of it is. Not brute strength.
That's the thing. Like you have to train the strength to get up there to be able to do it. But then once you know what it feels like, you're like, Christ, if I had only known what it feels like to do it, I could have done it.
Maybe it's like walking. Like you have to learn first, actually. But once you know how, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, not an impossible or difficult thing. People do it and can do it, and you can do it too. But you got
to practice.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about martial arts. I didn't even know you did martial arts until you mentioned it 20 minutes ago.
Okay, cool.
So tell me about that. It sounds like a big part of your life. Taekwondo, Kung Fu mostly?
Yeah, let's see, from 12 to 16, I was doing Taekwondo as a kid. That was enough time to get a black belt, which, I don't know, I think, I kind of don't like it in the States, like, more or less nowadays, it's something that you buy. I mean, like, you've got to show up and you got to put in the work, but
it depends on the teacher, right?
The teacher,
like there are famous teachers, and they are very strict about the rules.
Right.
And so if you have it's like a university degree, right?
Like, that's true, you couldn't
in a way buy one, right?
No, you couldn't, but in a way, like,
I mean, some are more serious than others.
Yeah.
Right?
Let me put it this way. When you say, like, you couldn't just buy one, that's very true, but you can also not buy one. No, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, there's a financial aspect that you can't, like...
Yeah, sure.
Like, they're kind of weird. It's like... And, of course, like, if it's a school, they need to keep the lights on or whatever, too, but, like, sometimes it's expensive. Like, even back then, it was, like... $400 US to get the black belt, and I think that's like.
Oh, you mean to
standard.
get the belt itself, not to pay for classes?
No, like you have your like what am I trying to say?
Or you mean the course is like $400 and you'll be
No, like you have what you pay per month to your contract.
Yeah.
And then like, oh, you're doing belt testing? Well, like the test and the belt, like another 400. And like that's not uncommon for like karate schools, taekwondo schools. So I kind of became disenchanted with that a little bit. After getting my black belt, put it down for a while, and then in university I found a really cool kung fu group that like the price was really reasonable, really cool group of people, down to earth. The teacher was great, and I've always tried to find something like that in Asia afterwards, and like that group is really unique. The way that the chemistry they have, the course of the class, and it was like a 2-hour class like 3 times a week. And
pretty good workout.
Rad. Dude, I'm a sweater. When I work out, I sweat.
Oh, yeah?
And like I would be soaked every workout at the end, and like, it was just so awesome. Man.
Kung Fu is probably one of the most famous kinds of, certainly Asian martial arts because of movies, right?
Yeah.
And it looks really, really cool.
Yeah.
And even watching people practice it looks really, really cool.
Yeah.
But it's a fake martial art, right? In terms of like, you can't beat people from other styles in terms of fighting with Kung Fu. Like there aren't any like Kung Fu stars in UFC.
Right. Here's a tricky thing. I think
it doesn't mean that's the only value of practicing martial arts, certainly, but what do you make of this?
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. I don't think you really see like Chinese martial artists or Chinese martial arts dominating like UFC
some other ones, like
anything.
karate is like real, like being able to like kick people in the face, like that's a good skill to have.
Well, here's kind of my take. Kung Fu is like an umbrella term for Chinese martial arts.
Okay.
And you couldn't even count how many like varieties of different styles of Chinese martial arts there are, and they all have their strong points and where they come from and their origins, and that might kind of shape some of the techniques that they do or why they do things in a certain way. I think some things are going to be a little more flowery. So like some of the flowery stuff, although beautiful, like that's where someone would be like, oh, that's really not effective, and like. that's debatable until you know, like, use it in a street fight. I think also any martial art, like, you know, you can train it to a certain degree of proficiency, but when you get in a real combat situation, they say that, like, you know, the adrenaline takes over, and then, like, let's say you've refined it to 100%, you're gonna have like a backslide to 70 or 50% of how dexterous you are in navigating those techniques, because you're kind of numbed, and, like, you know, you're not gonna be as accurate. But no, as far as, like, the effectiveness of Chinese martial arts, I really don't know, because Chinese martial arts is so many things. One style might be better suited for street fighting or not, but the style we did, what I liked about it, I'm not gonna bore you guys with, like, what style it was, but some styles have just, like, really nasty things.
Thank you, by the way, for not doing that, because everyone does that. Everyone loves to talk about their style.
Yeah,
and like to go on long tirades about it.
Yeah,
People
yeah. It's
that.
like, oh, what I did is cool, but actually, what I'll generalize, in some Chinese martial arts styles just have, like, nasty things, like different ways to, like, flick people's eyeballs out, and different ways to grab people's ears, and, like,
for real?
Yeah.
Cool.
Like,
that sounds like effective though. That's like Krav Maga stuff, right?
Yeah,
Where, like,
yeah.
this is how to, like, murder a person. Like, that's the idea of this,
you know,
this martial art.
And it's not like, here's how you walk around the street and look for people who you can flick out their eyeballs, but it's like, you know, if shit goes down, you might want to know how to, like, really hurt someone. You know?
Yeah.
And that's where kind of, like, the moral character kind of has to, like, you need a bit of training alongside. Like, you don't just get someone in for a week and be like, I don't really know who you are, but here's how you kill someone.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, oh fuck, he's a psycho and he left the class.
Yeah,
So
a master who's teaching you those things should be kind of, a holistic teacher, that they're working with your emotions and your who are you, what's your situation in life.
Yeah, ideally,
not just
a good teacher would be.
Yeah. Interesting. I think even if Kung Fu were wholly bullshit in terms of its, even if in terms of combat ability, there's nothing wrong. I mean, obviously you had good times with these people. They were, like, good friends. It was a great workout. Like, so I think there's a lot of value for most people in terms of learning martial arts, but there's obviously very few martial arts whose sole goal is to, like, murder people in actual street combat, right? And that's the only thing I can think of is Krav Maga, and I don't think there's a whole lot of other, like, modern martial arts, which is like, this is how, if shit goes down, this is how to deal with it, you know? But in the UFC, which, by the way, is also not, like, real fighting, because there are some rules. You don't have weapons. Obviously, you can't poke people's eyes out. That's against the rules.
Sure.
You know, you can't grab some things, right? And you're, like, you know, mostly naked. So it is a sport that's, like, as close as we're going to get to, like, real life combat. But it is a sport still, right?
Right.
Even there, I mean, there are martial arts that come to the top. So, like, jiu-jitsu guys do, like, really, really well, right? Like, wrestling guys do, all of the Olympic martial arts, right? Like boxing, they do really, really well.
Right.
And some other ones, like karate, less so, you know, although there's a lot of them. It's mixed martial arts for a reason. They do different things. But yeah, I just wonder about this, that there was a case last year where in China there was an MMA fighter who was going, you know the guy, right? He went around, like, beating up all the kung fu masters, and they, like, got pissed off at him. I think he's in jail now for, like, embarrassing, like, you know, their national sport, right? Which I was not something you want to do in communist China. That makes sense.
Right, yeah. I mean...
But he proved his point.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's kind of cool. I mean, like, there was a certain amount of machismo in that, which, like, as much as I, like, dig cool, manly stuff, I thought he was, like, a little bit of a blowhard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course, yes, absolutely.
Well, I mean, and then, like, it's kind of cool in ways. Like, you know, if you think you got the balls, come fight me. It's like, all right, that's kind of cool. So, like, maybe as far as, like, in the context of MMA, what he's got is, like, you know, like, you can't beat him with Tai Chi or whatever. That's cool. Fine.
Yeah, Tai Chi is another great example, right? It doesn't have a lot of combat use, but a lot of people, tons of people use it for health and just balance and meditation.
Originally, it was really hard shit, actually. Like, Tai Chi, actually, like, the origins, like,
interesting.
Dude,
a lot of people do it in parks.
A lot of
old people do it in parks. Is where I see it mostly.
You see it with old people, but, dude, like, the original guy, I forget his name, like, you guys can Google it. He's like, let's just say his name was Yang. He was like, he would ride around on a horse that had a banner behind it that said "The Unbeatable Yang," and he was like the original guy in China. Now that MMA guy, he would just ride around. He's like, "You think you got what it takes?"
Oh, like, fight me.
And he would just fuck people up, man.
Bro.
Yeah, and he
That's
was like,
cool.
he was like one of the, like, probably not the founder of Tai Chi, but one of like the forefathers, if you will, or one of the I don't know.
Yeah,
big contributors.
That's cool. You have just definitely changed my mind a little bit about it. I'd like to watch a documentary.
And
all right,
if I may, on a closing note.
Yes.
about martial arts and like its efficacy in different situations. I think too, it's like, well, you know, what do you really want? Like you're saying, like if you're just training to kill people, like, well, maybe like that's something like if you're training to be like a cop or like CIA or something like, maybe that's what you need. But I find like the beauty in some of the movement and the forms, that was something I would really enjoy doing, the forms. And here's the thing, if it's training some level of fighting efficiency, it's already giving you better odds to like, you know, in a street situation, you're that much more prepared. Certainly, are you going to be able to go up against elite fighters? I don't know, maybe not. But it's like, okay, you enjoy doing it, you're getting some exercise. Maybe there's a certain amount of, it's a martial art, there's a certain amount of aesthetic beauty to it.
Yeah, and like, just learning how to use your body and feel things, I'm sure it's good for your mind.
Yeah,
like you said, just a good workout, like if you're going to do that.
Yeah, so...
and plus it has that edge of combat. It's debatable about, is this the best or not?
Right,
but
right. But it's like, how often are you going to come up against that wall to find out if it's the best or not?
Yeah.
And like, how often are you going to go to class and just fucking enjoy what you do? So it's like, I don't know, if you fucking like the martial art you're doing, like, and some asshole is like, you know, actually I heard that like BJJ is 5 times better, because it's like, well, do you like BJJ? Like, I don't want to do something called BJ. Like, to tell you the truth, no, I'm not gonna. It's a cheap joke, and I'm not knocking on anyone who likes that or whatever. Yeah. But you know, it's like, what are you into? What do you like? Like, if it brings value to your life, then do it. And if you're not an elite fighter, then you don't need to worry about it.
You're 100% right. You're so, 1,000% right.
Like me playing guitar, like my technique is not really good, but I have weird ideas, and I like fleshing out my ideas, and it's just my shit. I like it for me, and I don't do it for other people. So,
yeah. Same thing about my violin. I would never recommend anyone plays violin, because I mean it's not like the kung fu of instruments. It's much worse than that. It's like very difficult. It's not that cool. It's like very inefficient. Like there's much better instruments you should learn, right?
Well,
but like if you play violin, like cool, like cool, nice.
If you like it,
hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, I think for me, I noticed like I feel like, well, I mean I can't really say because I've never tried to learn it, but it seems like the startup, the jibengong, like the foundational skill that you have to get it, seems like a lot of input before you can even make. Long time. Yeah, exactly.
Whereas with like piano, like if you hit a button, it sounds nice.
I like how you call it a button. Yeah, you just press the fucking button.
You know what it is?
It seems like an angel.
It's nice. It's not. You're not gonna like. No, it's. It's beautiful, like your first time. All right, let's get into food. So, sake, I know you're a cook, but you had just talked about tea for a little bit. That sounds like the shit to talk about, right?
Yeah, I suppose that was probably like my first culinary hobby, if we want to categorize.
So he makes a bunch of food, a bunch of crazy stuff. But tea you've spent some time on,
ever since
I was going to offer you tea. I'm happy I didn't.
Hey, I brought some tea too. Maybe I'll hook it up. Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Okay, ever since I was like, my Asian interest kind of funneled into this Chinese direction, and I was like, Chinese tea is pretty interesting. And in Chinatown, they had a Tianren, you know, like the chain we have here. It's since closed down in the Chicago Chinatown, but on our trips into the city, we would stop by and maybe grab a couple oolongs or some other teas, and then then I was like starting to really get into it. I'm like, what's this Taiwanese high mountain oolong tea? And I was buying different teas and making them, and I was really getting into it. And then on my second trip to Taiwan, this would be 2013 summer, finishing up my first contract in China. My mom came to visit me in China, showed her some places that I liked, and then I was like, we got to go to Taiwan because I'd been there once during Chinese New Year already. I was like, you're going to love it. It's fucking awesome. There's some places I want to see. And I brought her there. She had 2 friends of hers from a program that she was doing at NIU that live in Taipei, 2 Taiwanese ladies. So one of the days, we linked up with them. They take us around the city, show us some food and stuff. We're having a good time. And then after dinner, the one lady, she was like, oh, Ned, you like tea, right? I was like, fucking love tea. Yeah. She's like, we know, I think she said, I know a friend of a friend who's a tea teacher, and we can schedule a tea party, and he'll set us up with a couple different teas. Would you have interest? And I was like, yes, I'll do it.
Wow.
Yeah, so we go there, and he's kind of quiet guy. I think I could speak a little bit of Chinese, so I was trying to talk with him, but it was like not much exchange happening. You know, he didn't really know us, so he's kind of just like, he's amiable, polite, but he's not really like, trying to be buddy. So we sit down, and he takes us through a couple teas. I really don't remember the menu.
Kung Fu tea?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But not too elaborate. He doesn't do anything in like a flashy way. Nothing is...
Kung Fu tea just being a system, right? Of making
Yeah,
tea,
I guess
right?
if you want to say
some
like
equipment and a certain way to do it, a tradition around it.
Yeah, correct. If you want to go from the term kung fu being like a skill brought about through practice, like you practice it, like you practice it, and you have a certain I don't know, rhythm or a certain way that you go through the process. But he made a couple teas for us, and one of them was a 30-year-old pu'er tea that just like blew my mind. And at the end, I was so zenned out, and I was just like, it was the best experience. And I told him like, one day I'm gonna move back to Taipei, and when I come back, I want to learn tea with you. Is that possible? And he's like, sure. Like it's kind of his attitude was like, yeah, if you come back, like why not? But he was kind of like, I could tell he's like, I don't know if you're coming back or not. But like, he's like, yeah, let's come back and then we'll see. And then a year later when I moved back, I called him up. I'm like, beep, beep, boop. I'm like, I don't know if you remember me, but a year ago I had a tea party with you and I really want to come by. And he's like, oh yeah, I remember. He's like, come by, drink tea. And he gave me a free tea party. He drank me up that day. He's like, oh, good to see you again. And I was like, do you teach classes? Is that a thing you do? He's like, yeah, well, here's the first class. And he gave me a little thing. He's like, here's how much it costs. I'm like, I just got a job. My first paycheck, I'm coming back here. And then I've studied tea on and off with him since, I guess that would have been summer of 2014 when I moved out here. And that's when I started studying with him. And it's been on and off since as far as classes, but he does a lot of business in mainland China.
How many people do you think have had one tea class before?
Yeah, I don't know.
Classical Chinese tea class.
Yeah, putting it that way, I do feel pretty fortunate because it's like it's something I enjoy and it's unique. Yeah. And I don't do so many classes with him anymore because he's a bit busy. But when he's in Taiwan, when he's not in mainland China, we always get together and have a tea party, and he'll always show me some of the new teas he's brought back.
And in addition to the fact that you have some experience making teapots also.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There's a lot of things come together, I guess.
Yeah, and in a weird way, it does kind of come, maybe if it's not full circle. The circle's not complete yet, but it comes back in ways, yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely been a big part of my life, and I enjoy it. And sometimes, like maybe a week will go by, and I'm like, fuck, I haven't drank tea, but when life is good, I'm drinking tea once or twice a day, and it's nice. It's just kind of like, you take some time, like this time I'm putting the phone down, I'm not even gonna play music, I'm cleaning the table, and it's just like, just my shit. And it's nice. Yeah.
That's super, super cool.
Yeah.
I just don't know very many people who do so many like cool hobbies as you do.
I don't know why I get into so many weird stuff, but it's like in this day and age, like especially with the internet, there's so much shit out there that like, oh, that looks cool, and you kind of want to try it. And like, there's rabbit holes. I guess I consider myself pretty fortunate because like I have time and I kind of have like enough money to kind of get an entry into some hobbies. So, like, it's fucking fun. I like getting into my wacky shit. Even if I don't perfect it, I just like playing with it.
You know, people say that it's in the age of the internet, and especially with the age of the smartphone, like boredom has become a thing of the past. Because like, if you say like, hey, I'm running an hour late, it's like, oh, whatever, I have a phone. Like, what? I'm like really bored.
Yeah,
like,
that's true. Yeah.
I can get work done. I can watch YouTube videos. I can just let it just absorb my brain.
Yeah.
I could do anything, right? I have a computer in my pocket, But I feel like you're a kind of guy that even without the internet, you would still not be bored. You wouldn't have this sensation that people used to have.
Yeah, I think that's a tough one. I don't know.
Maybe I'm wrong, but you strike me as something.
Yeah, no, I think as long as I have like my guitar around and my stuff that I could be doing, like, yeah, I'll keep myself busy. But I don't know, I feel like it's this weird double-edged sword with technology. Like you said, like you could always be doing something, but therefore like I feel like people kind of like are losing some kind of mental fortitude where if like something's not always stimulating them in a pleasant way, then it's just like, that's boring. It's like, I don't know, it's a double-edged sword. Like I'm not going to knock smartphones entirely, but they do.
Yeah, no, because doing nothing is also important for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, like I think, maybe having the smartphone and being able to like maybe do some useful studying on a subway ride is cool. But then also like, I just got home from work and I'm taking half an hour to like, not strictly like meditate, but I'm like taking half an hour of silence and just maybe I can write some notes or something if I want. But like, I think people should really give themselves, maybe it doesn't even have to be like half an hour, but you should like structure a pause or a few pauses in your day to just like, I'm intentionally going to do like nothing. And like, I don't even like, as far as like meditation and stuff like that, I don't strictly meditate, but I don't even think you have to be like, oh, I'm going to think about nothing. But it's just like, just try and put shit down for a moment and just like decompress, like get out of what's the like sympathetic and parasympathetic that they talk about? Like what's the two different modes? Now I'm confusing which one is which, but like one is a reactive state and one's like just like you setting the tempo. So like get out of reacting to things that make you stressful and just like calm down.
Whenever I've had, because I do formally meditate, not a ton, but I try every day.
What's that like?
Once or twice. Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, I'm sure you've done formal meditation before. I used a Headspace app for quite a bit, and then I'm on, for maybe a year or so, I've been using, do you know Sam Harris? He had this app, Waking Up.
Sounds familiar, yeah.
So he's like a neuroscientist. He has a lot of speeches about philosophy, about life. He has a political... He's just like a thought leader and influencer, essentially.
That's cool.
Really, really smart guy. Very, very thoughtful, especially about politics, because I think it's difficult to be very thoughtful about politics. I think that's a tough thing to do. And as a lifelong spiritual teacher, I think he's like uniquely positioned to be able to think about these things without being influenced too much.
Right.
But his meditation app is insane. Like the exercises. I mean, I believe it's some certain kinds of styles about like non-dual meditation, about exploring the idea that like you don't actually exist, that you're not actually real, which is
that's crazy talk. If you're not real, then who am I talking to? You know?
Yeah. But it's like I think you know, because there's a lot of different kinds of meditation, right? And some help you with different things. Maybe they help you with, you know, focus, or they help you to feel more happy, or they help you your relationships. And he doesn't really do any of those kind of these are practices that are meant on changing the world in some way, right?
Right.
Which is great. It's like a very powerful tool to be able to like make yourself more happy. Like that's crazy. That's possible. You can spend 10 minutes a day and be more focused and happy and have better relationships and like love more. You know.
Yeah, that's empowering in a big way,
but his is kind of all about just like seeing things as they are, right? Which I think is. I think almost kind of the most empowering, right? To be able to be like, okay, I don't need to be happy. Like just see like kind of the sensations that are happening and like life as it is, right? And especially like without trying to like dissolve the mental models about like this is a body, right? And like and like this is like my head and I'm Joel, and like instead just like take experience as it is. I think it's like it's really trippy actually. Like when I first started doing it, like it's like it feels like you're on a drug or something. It's like things are not. This is different from how shit was before, you know.
I might,
but it's really beautiful, and I recommend everyone. Waking Up, it's free, so yeah.
Oh, dude, I'll check that out, man. That sounds rad. In a way, too, that kind of sounds like everything else. Like if you're meditating with a goal, it almost sounds like the style of meditation you're talking about. It sounds like it's kind of at a nice center point where if you can sink into that. It seems like, well, I'm sure it's work and it's a practice, but like it's almost like being in this place of no resistance where you're not trying to change things, and like everything else seems kind of, it's like I'm working towards being happier and it's a struggle. It's like, why don't you just settle right back to the way that things are and just
just see what's happening, right? Being able to understand what's happening is immensely powerful, right? But you talking about just taking space out of your day. So meditation is like kind of work. Like it's not necessarily pleasant, you know. It takes a huge amount of focus, especially. And the longer you do it, the hard, right? Like I mean, it's difficult to sit down for 10 minutes and do nothing, but to sit down for an hour and do nothing, like that's very difficult, right?
Right.
But so it's similar to going to the gym in that way. That like when you're finished going to the gym, you're never like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Like it's always beautiful, like that was the right decision, but before it can be difficult, right? If you're like, you know, I'm kind of tired, I just went to work, you know, like you don't want to go to the gym. And so there's an issue for a lot of people, right? And when I've had an issue with meditating, which the same way, like it's impossible to regret meditating, right? Because but I've just made the goal for myself that even if I'm not meditating, like at least I need to like just go out on my balcony and just sit there for 10 minutes. And it doesn't matter what I do. Maybe I just look at the cars, or just look at the sky, or just think for 10 minutes. That's fine, right?
Yeah.
But that's like insanely valuable. Just not doing anything for a little bit.
Right.
Every day.
Otherwise, like you just like under tension the whole day. Like how long before you snap, man? Like, you gotta let yourself collapse. Not collapse. Come back. Return. I don't know.
You gotta return. You gotta return. That's it.
Sorry.
Yes, you gotta do some oming.
Am I maxing out the levels here? Am I clipping?
Sure. I've got a guy. One of my friends. He was. I did this interview. This was just like 2 or 3 times ago actually, and he's like an audio and like video producer, like
cool.
like a videographer. And so like I did a podcast, and he's like, Joel, that's like, thank you for this opportunity. Like your video sucks. Like he's like, I'm like, okay. So he like hooked me up with like this stuff, and like he does my editing for me now.
Oh, that's
He's
cool.
like helped me fix a bunch of stuff. And
Yeah,
so
well, I'll thank him in advance.
Yeah, he can.
Thanks, man.
He does the magic. I'm sure whatever it is, he's quite good at it.
What a badass.
Any other hobbies I should know about? Any other thing that's really cool? Our time's just about up. But
okay.
what would be the next conversation I should ask for next time I see you?
I'll say anything else is minor enough that it's I'll just save it for the next time. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Good stuff. Anything else to say for the camera? Any wise words? A mantra? A Ned mantra to leave us with? Do your stuff. All right. Good stuff, man. Thank you.
Hey, thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
man. Yeah,
Cool.
Thanks for the opportunity. It's been
Adios.
fun.
Bye-bye.
Later, guys. Take care.